anything
You
not to
just
show.
wanted to be able to play that music.
Oh
Now
yeah,
I
that too, and anything not to show that guy's face. I'm not gonna say his name, but this is the first show. It's the first F1 show of the channel. I'm new to F1, fairly new. Oh, John, I'm just new to F1 because I've seen Michael and I know Senna by name, but I'm
like,
new to like actual racing. But to do the show with me, Ray and Patrick, you have not seen Patrick since Halo. That was a year and
yeah,
a half ago.
you know.
That was a year and a half ago. Um, Ray, you saw what last year? Was it early? Yeah, last year for Spider Man
I
Two.
think we did some show, some TV show.
No, no, no. Spider Man Two was the last time you were here. Or did we do a TV
Really?
show? Yeah,
No, it has to be a TV show because like Roy was there.
that was Spider Man Two.
Really? Is it Spider Man 2?
No, I think we did a TV
Two.
show, and
Not
then it was
Spider-Man 3,
a
Spider-Man
long
2.
time. A
Wait,
long time.
Spider Man 2 was not last year though.
Um, the one with Miles Morales and Peter.
Oh, that's Spider-Man 2.
Oh,
Not
Oh
the
yeah, the
game.
game.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, not
oh,
Spider Man Two. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
because Spider Man Two was in the 2000s. This channel didn't exist when
I thought you were talking about
Right.
Tom Holland Spider Man.
No, no.
yeah, me too. I was like, dang, I can't even
No,
remember
yeah,
a
that was a
lot
while
of that
ago. That was
Spider-Man.
actually when Patrick and I met.
No,
It
we
was
met for Spider-Man 1.
Spider-Man one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think okay. So this, let me just give you a background of how all of this started. Right. I think it was Patrick might have mentioned at one point, "Oh, Drive to Survive is a thing. You need to check it out." And then I was bored, and I think I mentioned something to Ray, and he was like, "Look, if you have time, Drive to Survive."
Right.
So I get into it, and I'm like, "There's no
I
way."
like
Like,
how you didn't listen to me, but you did listen to Ray. Like, but
no,
go
I
on,
think you.
go on.
I'm sorry. It might have been in passing. It might no, no.
No,
When Patrick did mention it, it was after the 2021 event, right? It was right after that Patrick mentioned it, and it was in passing, right? I think it was in the main chat because Patrick, it was we were trying to do a movie
This is
review
not
on.
accurate because me and Ray talked a lot while I was watching Drive to Survive in that same chat. But that's okay. Go
Oh
on.
man,
no, I think Mo was wrong. The reason he got into Drive to Survive this time was because like the internet absolutely blew up when Hamilton announced he was going to Ferrari.
Oh,
yes,
Ferrari.
that
Basically,
was it.
Oh,
That
that
was
makes
it.
sense.
That was
the
it.
internet blew way up, and Mo started like talking about it. And, like there were so many memes. Mo was sharing
That was
Hamilton and
crazy.
Ferrari memes with me,
What
and I was like,
for
look,
there to be no driver changes? What a crazy off season!
yeah,
Like you
Yes.
have
like
the whole Andretti thing, you have
yeah,
the Christian Horner thing,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then you have Lewis moving to Ferrari thing, which is just like that
Yeah,
is
and it
like
and
right.
it that was actually how it started, and it blew up. So I was like, wait, what is the significant? Like, why is this
I
such
was like,
a thing?
just go watch Drive to
And
Survive.
and that's
If this
and that's
if
it.
that hadn't happened, I don't think there would have been any way I could have coaxed him into watching Drive to
No,
Survive. Like the
I would have
memes are
eventually
what got
seen it
him
when I was
there.
bored, but yeah, and
The memes are what got him there.
and it's funny because in 2021 I saw the memes and the thing that happened, and with that race, and I never like I was it's a thing. I just they cheated him out of it or whatever, however you want to call it, right? That thing happened. So I never thought about it. And so I'm watching Drive to Survive. I think I post no, I shared. I let Patrick know I'm watching Drive to Survive. Patrick was excited. Patrick's like, "Do you know there's a secret chat?" In 2.5 seconds, I get a chat notification.
that's how I
See,
roll.
I didn't want to add Mo to the chat until he finished like
No, I just
Drive to Survive.
Patrick was like,
well,
"No,
I'm like, if you're
everyone
real,
needs to see
I
this."
asked him questions, made sure he was legitimately watching.
Yeah, and as
Well, he
soon
was
as I
definitely
answered like a
legitimately
couple of
watching
them,
because he was
2.5
lighting my
seconds
phone
later,
up.
and Patrick goes, and I think it was Ray. He was like, "When you get to this part of it, watch the race and then watch the episode."
Yeah, you can't. Because
Yes,
Netflix
and
tries to, as we're talking
yes,
about Drive to Survive, like they do call it out, like, they do talk about it. But I just felt like watching that episode, they did not do justice to what had
no,
No,
occurred for
no,
obvious
no.
reasons, because they are, some way a branding sponsor of F1. So they
Yeah.
got
So
Exactly.
yeah.
If Liberty Media tells them, listen, like you guys, you have to make a documentary, but you can't do this, or we don't want you covering this too much. They don't really have a choice in the matter.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, Abu Dhabi 2021, look it up.
Yes, drunk.
It
A Formula One stream.
is
We're
actually
diversifying
actually the most
portfolio.
traumatic sports event that's ever occurred to me in my life. And
Oh.
I'm a Seahawks fan, so I was there when we didn't give the ball to Lynch, right? So I'm just saying the most traumatic sports event that has ever happened to me. So
it's pretty close for me, but like Senna happened to me, so that was definitely
that's fair. That's fair. I mean,
I think
there. So
I have two. I think in 20 Peyton the Colts were the highest scoring offense in the league at one point, and we went into Foxborough in the snow and only scored 3 points.
Yeah.
That hurt me more than anything, and that adds to why I hate that guy in Foxborough. So no, it's not. No, it's not.
Not even a little bit.
You should watch Drunk.
Welcome. Is not the same as Formula One,
right? I guess this is someone you need to tell to watch.
Mostly that's Le Mans, I think, is what they show there, which is like the 24-hour insane race. F1 is much shorter, faster cars with open cockpit and lots of downforce. The big thing about F1 and that Le Mans, I think the two comparisons is that they aren't spec series. So that means that each team has their own engineers who are designing their own cars. And that's actually, to me, I mean, IndyCar, NASCAR, that's all fine and everything. But what's really cool to me about F1 is that it's like both nerds and athletes working together.
It
always
feels cutting edge compared to everything else.
So there's something very unique about that. I can't think of many other things in sports where you have these hardcore technical people who are as involved in the success of your team as the athletes, and they're definitely athletes as well in the cars. So
absolutely,
that's what I think is cool about F1.
Well, Drunk, since I'm new to this, you're going to probably be following me a lot more. You should definitely get into Drive to Survive on Netflix. That was my introduction. And I know there's that movie with what's his name, Thor. I forget the name of the name of the movie.
Yeah. Is that Drive, or is that just called Drive or something like that? I know what you're talking about.
Right.
No, that's a bad movie with what's his name?
No, that's the one with
Drive. What is it called? But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think he drives for NASCAR. No, not NASCAR.
About Nicky Lauda.
Yes.
And that whole rivalry. So
yeah. So you should definitely check that movie out if you.
The Gran Turismo movie kind of surprised me. Though. Kind of surprised me. Like
all in, Drunk.
Yeah, two weeks was all it took. 2 weeks.
So let's get into 2024, right? So I had 3 questions. Let's get into 2024. I had 3 questions coming into this after watching quali, which again, I'm sorry, after watching the testing and then watching qualifiers. Right, I had 3 questions because I'm like, okay, between 23 and 24, you should see, cars are starting to make the jump, getting closer to the to Red Bull, right? Ferrari.
No, that's not how it happens. That's not how it happens.
Okay,
all the cars get better is usually what happens. All the cars get better, but some people get better by a wider margin.
Okay.
Usually it's exponential. Usually, like the
gap
Red widens.
They could have probably phoned it in. They were so ahead last year and kind of just made some minor
made it look okay.
But they went and did pain to Mercedes. They went and took Mercedes' concept that Mercedes could not get working the last 2 years, used that concept and then made it work. So Adrian Newey, who does all the design for Red Bull, I mean, he basically slapped Mercedes around. He's like, let me show you how you were supposed to do this. So it's kind of cruel.
These are the questions I had coming in, right? So Thursday,
Mercedes basically stole their design from last year. So Mercedes is running what Red Bull was running last year,
Okay,
And Red Bull
makes
took
sense.
the Mercedes design that Mercedes couldn't get working, and now they're making that the fastest car on the grid.
So,
Really
but
upset.
okay, so coming into on Thursday, it looked like Mercedes found something that worked. It looked like Mercedes found something that
That's
worked. It
called
looked like
practice.
right. It looked like Red Bull didn't, and so I'm like, all right, this, hope, a tiny glimmer.
So there's a few things.
Friday happens, and I'm like, okay. With the time difference in quality, it looked like Red Bull wasn't the runaway winner, right?
Mhm.
And then Mercedes somehow slipped and was it
Well,
third
before you
and okay.
continue, I need to like qualifier trim and race trim are two different things. Now,
That's true.
while
Okay. Okay.
there's quite
Also,
a lot that can carry over.
so you have to remember
Cars
they
and
only
teams
get
perform better in qualifying than they can perform in a race.
Okay.
right.
So
That
so
is
and
possible.
and that's why when Mercedes had that testing on Thursday, I was like, okay, they're great, and then it slipped. I'm like, you know what? It's probably just a slip. They're going to
There's
probably
something
get it
really important
together
to
on
realize.
Saturday. And so that was the second question I had is how will Mercedes like get it together on Saturday? And is Max still going to be the fastest driver on
Oh
the
yeah.
grid? And I think the third question I had was did Ferrari choose the did they make the wrong choice? Um and I guess I wanted to ask those questions to you guys, and you guys started answering the questions already on the
So
cars.
let me
So
answer the
yeah,
Mercedes thing real quick. So
okay.
the thing to realize is these F1 teams get a limited number of engines they can use through the entire season. I think it's 3 right now. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's either 3 or 4. And so when they are racing, they rev those engines hard, and they literally burn out the engine. Okay. So during practice, if Red Bull thought, hey, we know what we have in pace, they will just turn that engine down. Like literally there's a dial, they can turn it down. So they're not revving that engine super hard, right? Because they don't want to use more engine than they have to because they only get a limited number during the season. If you have to take more engines than you're allotted, then you
Yeah.
basically take penalties.
Penalties.
So I deeply suspect that Red Bull just turned their engine down during
Okay.
practice, and that's why you saw Mercedes suddenly at the top. It's just because Red Bull was saving their engine for later in the season. And this is all the ways in which the Red Bull advantage compounds, right? Because now in that practice, maybe Mercedes is running their engine at full power. Red Bull is not running their engine at full power. You might see late in the season, Mercedes has to take some penalties because they had to get one more engine than they were allotted, and Red Bull, because they were able to save on their engine, doesn't have to do that. So there's a lot of weird ways in which all these things kind of compound and add up. And I think we talked about that with on Chad about the Red Bull cost cap. Like that's why that's such a huge deal and why the penalty was bullshit.
Right. This somebody wanted, so that's the Mercedes question. Obviously the race ended with Max Verstappen, like, well, 30, was it 30 seconds ahead of
About 20.
yeah, 20 seconds ahead of
It
number
was
two. So
like
he's the
that
fastest
year
car.
where him and Hamilton were dueling, and like it would be him and Hamilton, they'd be like 20 seconds clear of everyone else.
Right. And so that, I guess that answers that second question. Now, I think the third question is very interesting, given that he was the driver of the day, as voted by the fans. Ray, do you think Ferrari chose the wrong driver?
Um, I honestly don't know. I've always thought Sainz is a good driver. I've always thought Leclerc was overrated, which is
Wow, Chuck.
I think it's also I think it's important to say, like, just because I think someone is overrated doesn't mean they're not good.
Right.
Like, I think Leclerc is very good, but I think they rate him entirely too high.
Okay.
I think him and Sainz are definitely a lot closer to each other than people like to pretend they are. It's not like they're leagues apart or something. So I honestly can't tell you that they chose wrong, but it seems like
I think they're different.
Yeah, they're very different drivers. They race very differently. They
I think
use different
Leclerc's
tactics.
going to do better actually in the Hamilton world than Sainz will. I actually think they made the right decision if you're bringing Hamilton in. Wait, so
I mean, well, it depends.
I think Sainz one day is going to be an amazing team boss or something, because Sainz is not only a very good driver, I don't think he's as good of a driver as Leclerc, but he's a very, very good driver. But he also
I think he's a very smart driver.
That's it.
I think
he knows the technical. He knows the strategy better than almost every other driver. Like if you saw when Ferrari was screwing everything up, and what was that, 2022? Like Sainz was just giving orders to Ferrari of what to do. Like one day, Sainz is going to be running a team, I think, and he's going to like destroy. Because also, you know, if you watch Drive to Survive, when he was at McLaren, he would come back from the drives and he was able to give very detailed analysis about what he liked about the car and what parts they needed to change and that kind of stuff. And the other drivers will just be like, it's got oversteer, right? But Sainz would be like, no, you actually like need to change like where like the bearings or what, you know, like he's giving them actual technical readouts and details about what he wants changed. And so I think in that way, Sainz is amazing. Like, unique, but I think he's a smart. I think he's a very smart driver. Like the only other person I can compare him to is Alonso based on the way he races. You know, like he definitely he doesn't beat people on pure pace. He races intelligently compared to Leclerc, who races on pace. If that makes sense.
Hey, nice. Patrick, what is your what jacket do you have?
That's McLaren right there. That's the
So that one thing I needed clarity on was the Yuki and Rod DR. Like I just needed complete clarity on it because what the fuck? Please.
Yuki's temper is one of my favorite things.
I love it on Drive to Survive. I'm sorry. Like like I think at one point someone was like, yo, you need to push. And he was like, shut up, I am. And I was like, yo, what?
I don't know. I don't want to typify somebody based on where they're from, but Yuki feels like he's direct from Initial D into F1. And I love it about him. It's like we took a character from Initial D and put them in F1. He's also very short. What was that? Next to every other driver, and you're like, "Who's that child?"
So what was that about?
Why is there a child on the grid?
You're asking.
Like what was that about?
I think it's probably your first experience seeing team orders. When the team thinks someone behind is going to do better than the person in front, they'll tell them to swap. And a lot of times, like it can be a point of contention. If you're in front of your teammate and you think you can drive well, there's no Formula One driver that thinks that their teammate is better than they are, unless you're Bottas going up against Hamilton.
It don't matter what the data says.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what team you're on. Like everyone thinks, no, I'm a better driver than my teammate. Period. You know.
I think
when they tell you to swap, it's always something that makes the driver mad. Basically, like, I don't want to swap. But then, like the second they get behind, if they feel like that person is slowing them down, they'll let everyone know their feelings about it, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
I think that's what's unique about F1 is so you have two championships happening simultaneously. You have both the drivers' championship, so every driver is trying to win that or get the most points in that. And you have the team championship. So each team is also competing for the most points. And so sometimes the team is going to tell a driver to swap or do whatever because it's going to
maximize
points as a team. Yeah. But the driver he does not care. He wants the most points for himself. So when you tell him to go behind his teammate so that his teammate is going to score more points than him, it is a complicated situation. I would say that roughly 70% of the time they follow those orders.
Valtteri did a lot. And
that's what he was good for.
Yeah,
you know?
He hated it all the time.
He was a good teammate for Hamilton in the sense that like he wasn't rubbish. He could score points and he could move back whenever they told him to move back. He was absolutely garbage at defending, but he did what he was told without argument.
He was garbage at defending. There it is. There were so many times like in 2020. Hamilton would have won for sure 2021 if Bottas could just defend a little bit. But there were so many races where he'd be like, all right, man, ahead.
It's like, oh, here you go.
And then
let me open the door for you.
Lewis would be facing Checo, and Checo would be like weaving, and like, oh yeah, you ain't going nowhere, Lewis.
Nah, Checo would slow down, and it's crazy. So I like, so we did mention Netflix and Drive to Survive, right? So but I honestly think episode 1 of season 7 is going to be insane because of the Leclerc thing is probably going to be a big point in that episode. The Leclerc and Sainz thing is going to be a thing. They're going to dramatize that because I still have my
That was the best thing about this race.
It was the best thing about this race, but I do have a question though. I think they were making the call, and it looked like everyone was questioning why Alonso didn't get tires when they think he should have gotten them.
He stayed out longer, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. He still finished ahead of Stroll?
Yeah. No.
It's about as good as that car was going to do. So I think it was fine.
No, he did finish ahead of, but he was, I think, 5th or 6th at the time, and then he did.
I think the order. I mean, it's sad, but the order kind of shaked out exactly how I think those cars, like almost.
So you think your team
there were no yellow flags,
supposed to
no
be.
weird events that occurred. Yeah. It was just pure race pace.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we just saw was essentially the pecking order of the rest of the season. That doesn't mean that from race to race that those numbers can't change, but it's going to require drivers making mistakes. It's going to require maybe a crash here or there. It's also going to be a little bit track dependent. Like some of the drivers are better on street tracks, but if you were just like going to line up all the cars straight up and have the exact same driver in all of them, I think they would shake out into about this order right now that we saw at the end of this race.
I think by the first third of the season because things were a bit rougher at the start of last year's season. Like by the end of the first third, it was basically the same thing. And like I think a lot of people also forget that even though Mercedes came second, the Ferraris were technically better cars. They were just clown shoes.
Exactly. So Ferrari had a better car, but they don't know how strategy at all. Sainz has to order them around.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Lewis comes in a Ferrari and it's like Schumacher. He's like,
Schumacher. Yeah.
My team now. You're going to do what I tell you to do. Like, and honestly, it's probably going to benefit Leclerc if he does. Like, that's what I'm hoping.
We'll see. We'll see.
I think that's what Lewis is frustrated with Mercedes,
right?
Because he did not like that car. He did not like that car the last 2 years, and he said it, and he said it, and he said it, and they did not listen for a year and a half. And then they finally gave up.
To be quite honest,
like, oh, I'm done. Like, you did not listen to me for a year and a half.
To be quite honest, like if the driver tells you they don't like the car, then what else can you do aside from either try to make it better or change it?
He was pissed.
Like
this cockpit is too close to the wheels and like. And that the driver is being conferred with the whole time they're doing the design of the car. So
I've always asked that question.
It's not like he just saw that car first time and was like, "Oh, I don't like this."
Right.
Like,
I've always wondered that.
And he's probably telling them that stuff, and they're not listening.
Okay, so what our prediction for this season is literally number 1 is going to be number 1, and it's going to come 2, 3 all the way to 10.
Unless some
it's going to be a fight.
Blowout happens.
To me, is that Checo came in second pretty handily here. Now, last season, Checo was garbage, even though he had the fastest car. And so
Checo started off good last season.
Did he start off? I can't remember.
Started off good last season, but then he fell off a cliff.
It's true. I'm not I'll be curious. We'll know if the Red Bull is truly hit a new level if every race starts being 1-2 Red Bulls, because that was not the true last year. And you had to at least give Max credit that there was, a decent bit of skill in his wins, because you would keep looking at where Checo was and be like, okay, well, clearly there's some skill here, so not that I'm any Max fan, but
right. So again, appreciate right. So predictions then. You're looking number 1 is going to be number 1, and then 2 to 10 is where the fight is going to happen.
Yeah.
Where do you think your team's going to finish, Patrick?
So last year, McLaren did something interesting, and I wonder if they're going to do it again. I have 2 teams, McLaren and Williams. So
okay,
I'm curious to see. It seemed like last year they basically held on to their cap saw what all the other teams did and were like, ooh, that's a good idea. We'll take that. Ooh, that's a good idea. We'll take that. And so they really spent a lot of their budget not during the off season, but like essentially from the period of like right now up until mid season to really make their car like work. And I'm kind of curious if they're doing it again. So, I think where they are is solid, but McLaren legitimately, I think, is working. They just got a new wind tunnel. I think it's this year, finally. Like, they are legitimately getting better year after year. And I'll be very curious if at Silverstone we don't see another big jump where they put on a bunch of new attachments and suddenly they're competing for that second place tier. The good news is last year they started as garbage, like absolute garbage, and then they jumped up. So if they can make that kind of a big of a jump last year, I'll be very curious how big of a jump they can make this year. But it's gonna be interesting because everybody was chasing the Red Bull design from last year. Like everybody thought this is the design, because generally that's how it works, is one team kind of figures it out and everybody else starts to converge on that design.
Yeah.
And then this year, Red Bull came out with basically Mercedes design, was like, nope, we're going to make the completely new design that's even faster. So now all the other teams have been going one direction.
Right. And Red Bull.
Now we gotta like, oh, do we got to go this way now?
Like,
Like,
hezzy. Right. Ray, where do you think your team is? Are you Mercedes?
Well,
you also have a couple teams.
Well, I wasn't always a team person. I mean, I used
to
be a
more
Williams
so
person.
driver, right?
I was definitely a Williams person growing up, but I became more of a driver person.
Okay.
But I like Hamilton and I like Russell a lot, so I'm definitely big on Mercedes because I like both drivers.
Right.
Other teams, I have other drivers that I like on other teams, but I don't have any team where I'm like, oh, I love both of these drivers, with the exception of Mercedes.
Okay, so then where would you like for your drivers to finish? Since they're part of a team, where would you like for the team to finish?
Obviously.
Okay,
realistically, I wouldn't be surprised if Ferrari clowns shoes themselves back into third place again.
Surprise! It's near certainty.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think the crazy part of it is someone coming into this new year, right, and watching Drive to Survive, and then seeing Ferrari go Matthias or what I think it's Matthias.
Bernardo.
Yo, and just the just mouse house that they ran under him, and then he's gone, and I'm like, they're gonna get it together, and just last year it was almost the same thing. I'm like, which is why when I didn't understand the Lewis thing at first when I started asking you, and you were like, just watch it. And then I'm watching, and I'm like, please. I think I was telling Patrick, I'm like, yo, Lewis cannot go here. Lewis cannot go here.
I think it's a personal issue.
Ferrari is where world champions go to fail. That's
right.
With the exception of Schumacher, every time someone's done Ferrari, it's been like, no.
I think it's a personnel issue. Because Ferrari like lives in its own bubble. And so like you see all the other teams stealing talent from each other and all that stuff, but Ferrari basically like steals from other Ferrari teams that race in other series. Like they kind of like are their own bubble, and sometimes I wonder if they are accessing
I think Ferrari probably has a completely different culture from all the other teams.
Yes, for sure.
I think there's probably more. Okay, I don't actually know if this is factual or not. There seems to be some sort of top-down governance on a lot of the other teams. Right. Like what Zach Brown says goes. What Toto Wolff says, even though like he's only I say only a 1/3 owner, but that's still a lot of money. What Toto Wolff says goes. Yeah. I don't think that's how it is at Ferrari.
No, I don't think so at all.
I don't think that's how. I think at Ferrari. I think at Ferrari, it's probably a board of people,
which is why
they're probably coming up with decisions in a boardroom that then comes down as directives or something like that need to be met.
I think that's why Schumacher made it work, because they were so desperate that they just said, "Okay, Schumacher, you can do whatever you want," and he did it. And so my hope is that Lewis could do that as well. Because you bring in Lewis Hamilton, like it's got to be in his contract that he's just got a blank check for orders. Like, he's going to be brought in to be in charge. There's no way he makes this change unless it's about, like, that's why you do this, right? You go in because, Mercedes is looking to the future. They're starting to, really think about like the next stage for themselves. They're starting to not do every single thing Hamilton dictates, right?
Mhm.
And I bet Ferrari was like, if you come to us, like,
We'll give you
whatever you want. If you tell us what to do, we're gonna do it, right?
Right.
And so I suspect.
Do you think if Red Bull had made him the same offer, he would have gone? Because I know that. You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think he would love to beat.
I think they would have dropped. I think they would have dropped Perez so fast.
Oh no, they would have. They would have.
As Christian Horner,
but I don't think Christian Horner would do it.
You're gonna have to fire like the following 5 people. No way.
God, that would be a tire fire of a team.
No. What?
Like, helmet's got to go because he's racist. Like, here's a list of people you have to fire because I can't stand them. Here's a list of people that have to go because they're racist. Here's a list of people that have to go because they're inept.
Like, give them a whole list at the bottom. Be like, and if you can get rid of Max too,
the one employee who stays, and then the rest can just go.
Right. But
like, if that one black guy,
that one black guy, Netflix always shows. I think
he's getting promoted.
I think they showed him today when Max won the race. I think they showed him. But
I love I play the F1 whatever the strategy game is on the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
And I just gotta say that the pit crew in that video game is far more diverse than the reality. Like, I've never seen so many African American and women, and like in the pit crew. Like, usually you're like, hey, there's
African American if they're American.
Too, like.
But no, I think that 2025 will be an interesting season just to watch. But honestly, I think to be very honest, this race, for my very first race to like watch start to finish, I think it wasn't like, oh my god, it didn't blow my mind.
I wouldn't blame you. It didn't. Dry.
It didn't blow my mind. I think the Carlos Sainz thing was amazing, and then the Yuki and Daniel Ricciardo thing was funny.
One of the most boring races I've watched in a long time.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong with having a clear winner, but like it's just
but there was not even much going on.
Yeah, there was not like a lot of fights, and it was just like
it was a pretty dry race.
If you want to go past, I guess I'm not really gonna fight you. But Max did set the fastest laps. I think he had a what would you call a grand slam, fastest lap, won the race.
I don't know. Bahrain usually doesn't give a lot, which is a shame. It's usually just that turn 10. If somebody locks up or whatever, which you saw a lot, like that hairpin sucks so bad. I hate that hairpin so much because there's actually a hairpin right before it, but then it kind of like tricks you into thinking you can speed up, and then it's like, nope, you got to stop again. And so that hairpin sucks. But outside of that, there's not usually a lot. The other, what often can make Bahrain interesting is because it's the first race of the year. Sometimes cars just explode because they haven't been tested. Like, sometimes cars just break down, fall apart, like because they haven't been truly tested in a race yet. That's the one thing that usually can make Bahrain interesting.
Was Bahrain the Man on Fire's last race?
No, that's Abu Dhabi.
Oh, okay.
But next week is Saudi Arabia, or is it in 2 weeks or whatever it is? Yeah, next week. That track is deadly. Somebody is going to die one day on that track.
Yeah. Did you say that?
It's so, and they have made it safer, but that track it's like a straight that runs into a hairpin. You're going like full speed, and then that track is deadly, and it's it's a street track, so there's walls. It's not like all those times you saw cars running off the track.
Right.
Like,
there's no runoff.
That doesn't exist there. It's just a wall. So like definitely next week I think is going to be more interesting.
Okay.
And then Australia is the race after that, and that is the track I hate the most because there's not walls, but there's grass. So there's tons and tons, like basically it's like track and then grass. And when
that's the one they get stuck in.
You have one wheel that's on track and one wheel that's on grass. Let's just say it does not go well for your car. So
That's funny. Like I haven't played an F1 game since like the 90s.
Oh, I play that game a lot.
Patrick plays it, so like I couldn't tell you anything about like characteristics of the track. I can talk about the corners. I can talk about the corners and like this corner is would be hard because of this XYZ, but like because I don't play racing games that aren't F-Zero.
I play lots of F1 and Gran Turismo, so
yeah.
Okay. Forza for me, but that's different. Yeah, that's super different.
that's basically Need for Speed.
I will say F1 is the free game for March
for this month. Yeah, so Patrick made sure to tell that. So I'll probably
have
get
PS Plus. Plus, I think PS Plus in the US is different from the UK anyway. So.
No, it's ridiculous.
Wait, no, it doesn't matter. My PS Plus my PlayStation account is an American one, so it wouldn't matter anyway. But
anyways, it's a free game. So even if you are like mildly interested, especially on the PS5, because it has. I mean, I have a wheel, but if you are using the stick, it has the haptics. So actually, the pedals and everything feel really nice, even if you're using the controller.
I do have one question before we go. So I think I was watching again. I'll just go ahead and mention Drive to Survive. Toto at one point had mentioned that he was against the Halo.
And then the Halo saved Lewis's life.
I think every single person has been like, this Halo is trash. It looks ugly, etc., etc. But then like we've all seen what it can do, and we all say that too.
Where Max would have killed Lewis, and let's just be clear, Max would have killed Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. And the Halo is you saw the wheel literally
just sitting on his head.
The Halo saved his life. I think I saw people like posting in comments and stuff that were like, I've hated the Halo since it was announced, blah, blah, blah. I am so glad the Halo is there. Yeah. Like almost the entire community F1.
Oh my God. Not even like even if you ignore that, the Zhou Guan Yu crash, that one was even worse.
That's
in my
true.
opinion.
Oh, you mean when he
went
was
scraping?
Yeah, right. Like, it was all Halo. It was all Halo. And that was his head. That was his head, actually.
His head. So I think that everybody's come around on the Halo. And they talked about it even on today's thing. Like if you take your hand and put it up to your nose like that, like your eyes totally ignore, like you don't really see the split. That's why when I play the F1 game, I turn off because you can have that bar there, but it's not actually, if you were in the car, what you would be seeing. So you can turn off so that bar is invisible, and you should, because that's like what you would actually. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I had all these questions and you guys have answered them. I think we talked about the race a little bit because as much as we could, because there was nothing really happened. We're excited for next week.
Definitely watch next week.
We're definitely excited. I'm excited for next week.
Qualifying alone, especially usually Q1 is kind of boring because it's like, this is like we're just dropping out the bottom 5. But at Saudi Arabia, when there's 20 cars on the track all trying to go as fast as they can, it's just bad.
It gets to be madness.
I'll ask:
Is that be legal in Europe or the US?
Is that the one
that exists in Saudi Arabia because it's the only place that they'll let it happen?
Is that the one where it usually like quali always ends on a yellow or some shit like that? I think I heard.
That's the one which, like in 2021, there were like 3 red flags during the race.
Yikes.
So
okay, that should be fun.
Not joking. When he says someone might die.
Somebody might die.
Oh God, I hope no one dies because then we'll look really evil laughing about this right now.
I watch that track even when you're like when I'm driving it, the whole time you're like, oh, like it's because you're going crazy fast. It's the second fastest track next to Monza on the course, but it has walls. Just put those two like. Monza has lots of runoff, so you're going crazy.
You make
fast.
a mistake, it's
okay, but Saudi Arabia is like you make one wrong turn, your wheel locks up, like Leclerc was struggling with, not even his fault in this race. Like in Saudi Arabia, if that car's still doing that,
flag.
Like that's a red flag. Leclerc is out. Like
because I think Yeah, because I think Daniel took the runner.
Oh yeah,
He took it. So are you telling me if that was next week?
those would be all crashes. All that would be crashes. So what that
I
really
think
means is all the drivers are like daredeviling with the walls the entire race. Like, how close can I get? And you'll see it. They'll show camera angles where like it's literally like that between the car and the wall.
Oh yeah.
so. Overtaking is gonna be a lot more difficult. So pole
I mean, the
position is
track is
important.
wide enough,
No,
so it's
no,
not too bad compared to
there's
some other
plenty of room
tracks.
for that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
plenty of room for overtaking and
Or was
passing
it?
all
Is
that.
it Monza where they're like, oh,
Monaco.
Monaco. That's the
Monaco.
one.
And the problem with Monaco is it was just designed for much smaller cars.
Yeah, it was designed ages ago for much smaller cars, but like,
Yeah. But
please,
Saudi Arabia is like 3 years old.
I will always barrack for Monaco and never get rid of it. Never ever get rid of it. Never.
Somebody just needs to move some casinos and widen the roads. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, whatever.
Ray, tell your wife I will come and watch a race and get my shoes. And this is
the come get his shoes.
Wait, the race after Australia is Japan? What? Oh, we got all right. Everybody, just hang on. We got Suzuka is one of the greatest tracks ever made. If you do play Gran Turismo, go race on Suzuka and Gran Turismo. Like, we got some really good tracks ahead.
Okay.
Until Miami, and then it's kind of lame. We got like.
But then they add. I think they added 2 more tracks. Or was it 4?
3, 4? We got 4 really good tracks in a row here.
Okay.
And then we get to Miami.
Okay. I don't know why Instagram has been advertising Miami to me. Like, go watch. Go. Like, it's been heavy. All I did was
algorithm has clocked you already.
All I chat Ray once and chat Patrick.
The one thing Miami has is a speed bump. Like, literally, there's almost a speed bump in the track, so sometimes the cars will get air. So there's that. But that's
but there's that. Like, what?
And there's alligators like over along like the side of the one straight.
But
you never know.
You
maybe
all the celebrities around,
right? Alligator on the tracks. Wait, that track is so whack though.
Like, but don't you get all the celebrities in Miami?
What
was that?
You get all the celebrities in Miami though, right?
You do. It's if you watch, the best part of Miami is the pre-show.
Right.
Because all the celebrities are there, and they try to do it like the Super Bowl with like introducing each driver and then run out, and there's like a crowd cheering for them.
I hate
like,
it so much. I hate it. I hate it.
And the best part is what you should do is watch
it's not SmackDown.
And then also watch European F1 Twitter meltdown. That's the real entertainment, is watching European F1. Be like, I hate Americans. Americans suck. Why do they do this? Who cares? It's not the Super Bowl. America's ruining the sport. And just, popcorn your way through.
Oh man,
F1
that's
while
fun. That's
the Miami intros happen.
Last
I hate it. I'm sorry. I hate it. I hate it.
Final question before we go. What happened to Austin?
Wait, it's not on the Austin's on here.
Austin's on here? Okay.
United
Dakota's
States.
not on there?
It's just so it's called United States Grand Prix.
Okay. It's not
because it's Circuit of the Americas.
I like the lineup this year where it goes United States, Mexico, Brazil, Las Vegas. That's pretty cool.
So Circuit of the Americas, the United States has more races.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a big country.
You got it.
Let me tell you, there are people all the time you'll hear like, oh yeah, like a bunch of Austrian fans drove down to Monza to watch Monza. You can't do that in the US. Heck, they have high-speed rail there. They probably didn't even drive.
Oh man, okay. That's the show for today. I'm really excited. So thank you again, Ray. Thank you, Patrick, for doing. First of all, for going on this journey with me, because I know you guys. It would probably be midnight for Ray, and I'm watching this thing like biting my fingernails, like just
sending me messages.
Ray, thanks for joining this cast, for giving us some, UK European pedigree, because otherwise people would be like, you stupid Americans talking about F1.
I don't know. I reckon I'm more American than British right now.
Oh man, definitely, Patrick. Thank you for making the time. It's always fun to do a cast with you guys. Fun to do a cast with Patrick. It's been a minute, so maybe when Halo 2 ends, Patrick will finally watch it. Halo season 2 ends. Patrick will
Man, that series ended. I was
no,
like,
Patrick.
oh,
I promise you, season 2 makes up for all of it.
okay, all right.
Do you like Halo that much, Patrick?
No, I'm playing lots of Helldivers right now. I'm playing it. Make the Helldivers TV show. I'm there. Oh, that's called Starship Troopers, I guess. So.
Oh
Yeah,
right,
Starship Troopers.
right. But yeah, congratulations to the winner, Matt, and
You flashed that so fast. most punchable face in F1.
Oh my god, it was so crazy. I was gonna go watch Dune on Sunday because I was going to the fan screening, and I stopped at a dollar store to get snacks, and I literally turned to this Red Bull sign, and it was his face. Mind you, that was the weekend I had just seen the 2021 thing. All the emotions. I was so distraught. That's that weekend. I don't even know if I enjoyed the movie.
I tried to give Max slack. I really tried to be like, okay, look, he was abused by his father, like all this kind of stuff. I want to give him like chance to grow. And then in Saudi Arabia, he went up on that podium because he got second behind Lewis and threw the biggest temper tantrum I've ever seen. And I was like, no, you can't go up on the podium and throw a temper tantrum. Like, this is unacceptable.
Right.
So I'm done with Max.
Good. And congratulations to our driver of the day, Carlos Sainz.
Well done, Sainz.
Right, well done, good job. But yeah, so thank you guys again. I feel like this is gonna be a really great cast. It's what, 20, we're gonna do what, 23 more episodes of this.
Get ready for when Lando wins his first race ever, because it's gonna be a party here. It's gonna be a party.
Not Oscar, but Lando.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Lando is going to win this year. If Oscar wins, I'm gonna feel so bad for Lando.
Oh man!
How like Lando is now the Ricardo, and like it's gotta feel horrible because like,
but even Ricardo has won races.
You gotta have a 1-2 one time.
On Monaco. That's why I said Ricardo should just like go get the triple crown, like leave F1 and go win Indy and go win Le Mans, and then you know.
I actually thought, when it was at 22 when he lost the seat, I'm like, okay, he's going to go Indy, right? But no, he decided he got the call from Christian, and he's now AlphaTauri, and that is going to be.
You saw how bad Grosjean was in F1, but he's like killing it in the Indy.
Well, he was killing it in Indy. I don't think he's doing that great anymore.
Oh, is he not right now? But when he first, like that first,
his first year, yeah, because I follow him. Like, to be honest, like, and I was messaging Patrick while I was watching this in real time too. I'm like, yo, I was so mean to him, like, because I'm like, why are you here? Why are you here? Like, there's so many other drivers that could be in the seat. Why are you here? And next thing you know, like, I'm still being mean to him, and he goes into the wall and boof. And I was like, shit. And I was like, shit.
Oh, I think D wants in on this. The future.
Oh man, right. Next week.
All
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys. We'll definitely look up for next week if that happens, and if not, we'll probably move on to do a different week. But no, thank you very much for doing the show and for making this happen. Carlos Sainz, our driver of the day. Thank you for watching. We will catch you next week.